Welcome to That's Pretty Neat with Rodger and Stefan, where we discuss neat, holistic, regenerative agriculture.
So, what is holistic management and why is it important?
Stefan, holistic management, a lot of people think it's a grazing system, and here we are with a bunch of cows behind us and surrounded by cows and a lot of mooing. But holistic management is not a grazing system. It is nothing more than a decision-making framework. And when we say a decision-making framework, it's just a way to help us make decisions towards the quality of life that we desire. And that sounds really simple until you realize that very few people think about the long-term consequences of their decisions and how they want their lives to be. Socially, how do you want your life to be? Do you want a community around you? Do you want friends? Do you want good people? Do you want thieves? Do you want war? How do you want your life socially? And then economically, what do you have to have economically to live that kind of quality of life? And then environmentally, what will the environment need to look like 500 years from now to allow your grandchildren to live the same quality of life you lived?
Yeah.
And almost no one thinks about the long-term consequences of their decision. So holistic management gives us what we call a holistic context.
Okay.
And that is the context towards which we make all of our management decisions.
Yeah.
And kind of think of it as a far north or a magnetic north. You'll never get there, but it's the direction to travel in. So as long as you're testing all your decisions socially, economically, and environmentally towards that long-term goal, well, kind of just like walking down this road, we'll ultimately get there.
Yeah.
And it might be 500 years from now, but it doesn't matter. If we just keep on the journey, we keep progressing and keep changing, but we're changing in a positive direction. We're regenerating our ecosystems. Yeah. We're reinvigorating our communities. We're making decisions financially to grow. And as we say in holistic management, we make real profit. And real profit isn't just earning more than you spend. It's earning more than you spend. It's having a better quality of life. It's increasing biodiversity and increasing biomass. That's real profit. And it's all tied together with holistic management and holistic decision making. So it's not a grazing method, but when we use it in grazing and stuff like that, we find it has fantastic results.
Yeah. So it sounds like the rotational or rational grazing, whatever you want to call it, is just part or a tool you could use in holistic management. It isn't the main thing, but it is something that you could use, and it seems like that gets misunderstood a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everyone thinks it's a grazing system, because that was a lot of the origin and a lot of the pioneers, they think of it as that. But we use it in mining companies, we use it in government, we use it in policy creation. You can use it for your individual family living in the city. Yeah. So it really is a decision-making process. However, on large landscapes in what we call brittle environments, that's probably where we're seeing the greatest impact, because they had traditionally turned into deserts or were turning into deserts. And we found that if we made decisions for 500 years from now, and if we understood carbon cycling and water cycling and mineral cycling and made decisions around those cycles, we were able to fix them.
Yeah.
Whereas prior humans hadn't realized the connection to the human decision making, how it was having a negative impact on the landscape.
Makes sense. So we use holistic management on our ranch, and it's definitely, I feel, a helpful tool navigating the decisions we want to make. Usually when we have disagreements about stuff, we can go back to what was our main idea, what did we want to do. And for us, the main thing that sits within our entire family is focusing on land regeneration. That's usually what we come back to. It's our main goal. And then profiting off that. making a profit. So we kind of base our ideas off what's the best for the environment, how does it benefit us financially, and that sort of thing. So grazing is a tool, at least for us, that we use a lot, as you can see, for improving the land, but it's just a part.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, we're on one of the roughest ranches around. I mean, I'm looking at a sandstone cliff there. You know, when we first started working together, I was like, well, I'm not even sure what could graze up and down those cliffs. But already we're finding animal impact happening on really steep hills.
Yeah.
I think you've already seen grass growing where you never saw it growing before.
That's true.
And all of that is just the beginning of getting these cycles going again. But well, there really isn't any but. You know, as long as you're testing your decisions, and part of the management process is plan, monitor, control, and replan.
Oh, we've heard that one before.
You've
That's
heard
a
that
good one.
Yeah. So if you feel like, well, we did this because we thought this would happen, but something else happened, there's nothing to stop you replanning.
Yeah. We seem to replan a whole bunch.
Yes.
A big part.
And that's because nature and complexity and holes are so complex. Our linear decision making really struggles.
Yeah.
And then the male ego gets involved, and we really don't like to be wrong.
Nope.
So if you give yourself permission to be wrong and to replan, it makes it much easier to accept it.
Yep, it's true.
You can follow Rodger at d2gftf.com and also on his socials at Rodger Savory Holistic Management on YouTube and Facebook. We are Las Cumbres Ranch. You can follow us on social media at Las Cumbres Ranch over all platforms. And thanks for tuning in. It's been real neat.